You stupid!
So flash forward, we had many production development deals with all the major studios, but SWAT Cats ended up at Hanna-Barbera, and it stayed there for a couple of years. And then what happened is that Ted Turner of CNN, he bought the Hanna-Barbera studio. So at that moment, they had money. The studio had money, we're doing well, so they decided to produce 2 new series, one action and one comedy. So what they did, that I recall very well, is that there was a very cool theater at Hanna-Barbera, you recall that, a little bit, maybe half the size of this room here, but it was a theater for the studio to pre-screen their series or everything they were doing. And so what they did is that they hired a bunch of professional actors, and they were basically doing the pitch to all the executives at Ted Turner, who came from Atlanta to the studio, and they were going to decide which shows among all the pitch they were making, which one they're going to pick. So they were, you saw the actor, practicing, their routines, and here I was, me and my brother. So all we had was tons of artwork, and just, a shitload of enthusiasm. And so we pitched the show. We had a boombox, I recall very well, that was playing the music of Armageddon, of Prism, the band Prism. So I was talking about the show, what's going to be, about those 2 jet fighter pilots, and they have a cool, jet, they have a secret identity, and then, there was going to be like recurring villains, bigger than life, and they have gadgets and cool things. So all the elements were there, and I say, and you gotta listen to the music. I mean, it's gonna play, and then I push the boombox, play the music. So I guess I won them over, So we went into production, and I was like our first big break in Los Angeles. So we went into production, and so we moved from Montreal to Los Angeles. And in the meantime, a producer was attached to the production, Davis Doy. Glenn Leopold, our story editor, was attached as the lead story. And also on the production side, you guys were being put together. For us, it was a natural that we make this production as collaborative as possible. And we've been very fortunate. Glenn Leopold's office was just right next to us. So during the course of the productions, and I brought some of the original sketches here, we were very visual. So we were making a lot of sketches about story ideas. Glenn would come over, or Lance would come over and say, hey, we have this idea about, pyramids and giant, mummies, with guns and stuff. And then we would brainstorm and going over, and it was just magic. So that first meeting we had, we said to everybody, come on, if you have ideas, we welcome, to tell us. And that's how, it was, the productions was put together.
I was telling, they didn't know this, but if I have a contribution to the DNA of the show, it's a small one, but it's what Chance and Jake's jobs are, which are, they work in a government salvage yard. So originally I think it was just they were kind of in a junkyard. And I said, no, they work in a government salvage yard because they get plane parts and they get high-tech government scrap so they can build jets with it. And everyone said, yeah, that's it. So that's me. Almost everything else is these guys, but that's me. So Davis sat me down and he said, okay, you have some ideas for the show, and I pitched 3 ideas, and he said, I like all 3 of them. Write your favorite one. I wrote one called Destructive Nature, which is a plant episode. That was a ball.
Dr. Viper.
The Dr. Viper episode, where we turned the whole city into this plant nightmare and all these plant monsters. And I had a ball that's my first professional writing sale at all. And he said, I like that. Okay, do the next idea. And the next idea was called Chaos and Crystal, which is about a giant crystal monster. I wish the animation were a little sharper in that one, but I like the story. And a little story about that one is the idea of that villain was he was an ex-convict he was a convict who got turned into a monster, and at the end he's cured. And had we done more of the series, I wanted to bring back that same guy, but a different accident would happen to him, and he would turn into a different kind of monster, like maybe a living black hole or something like that, or a flame creature or something. And they beat him and they cure him, and he'd throw himself into another crazy reactor, and he'd be a different guy. But every time he came back, now he has an eye patch, now he's missing an arm. So every time he came back, I was going to chip away at him a little bit. But maybe we can do that. And last but not least, in the first season, I wrote an episode called Metal Urgency, which was a Metallicats episode. I loved writing the Metallicats because even on a kid's show, you can blow the bad guys up. You can shatter them. That's why a lot of cartoons have robots in them. That's why the 70s Battlestar Galactica show, the villains were originally lizards in armor, and they said, let's make them robots so we can just blow them up. So the Metallicats were great because I could just beat the hell out of them. And I did in their 2 episodes, and it was a lot, and they can always come back.
Of working on the show.
Keep talking.
Our way of working on the show is and turn around, which is the original T-shirt that I did for the production. So everybody could have one, but also they were selling. Hanna-Barbera had a small store at the studio, and you could buy, a big beach towel. There was those T-shirts, a black one and a white one. And
computer mouse.
Yeah, there was a bunch of things. But why is it all cats and stuff like that? Is it because we have obsessions with cats? It's funny because we're involved now. We're doing also the new Felix the Cat series, and it's another cat. And we did SWAT cats, and I don't have any cats.
And I'm allergic.
So what the hell's going on with us? No. And one of those designs that I did for a company, it was a big fat cat. And we just got the sample of it, and I hang it on the wall. And Yvon was looking at it one day, and he says, that cat looks like a pilot. Because Yvon was really, more than me, was really into jet fighter planes and things like that. And in the United States, obviously, the cat has been associated, like the Tomcat, the 14 Tomcats, and there's a couple of cat things identify it. So he says he looked like a pilot. I said, okay. And then, this is where really we started. And we say, okay, but if he has a co-pilot and he takes care of missiles, and then he said, okay, but that would be cool if they fly a jet fighter in the city, not in the sky where, it's like playing video game with a jet in the sky. It's cool, but if you put it in the city between buildings and stuff like that, holy crap, that became super exciting. So we knew we had something. And then we said, okay, it should have, we need to have villains, and recurring villains would be interesting as well. And then this is where we said, oh, what about a whole cat world? Say, okay, that'll be cool. So really this is where, the idea of like the genesis of the show came about. Developed it more, we started to put more comic book edge to it. So it was kind of an interesting mix, because SWAT cats, they're not beefed up, superhero muscled. They're more like regular guys who happens, to be good guys and just wanted, and they've been kicked out, unfairly, and they became vigilantes. So
Mook wrote back and he says, well, we'll tell you what. We found the guy who animated that for Nausicaa, and we hired him to draw your explosion for you. And he's going to do it better because he's 10 years more experienced. And if you look at the two, ours is better. So I think it's like the greatest explosion ever done.
We lost. Zed's going for the laser satellite.
Oh, and he's going to show my sword. Good job.
Time for a demonstration. Obliterate that mountain. Zed will not fly. SWAT! Megacat City
It's
will
ridiculous.
fall to its knees before us!
Thank you, Matt. So it's really ridiculous, that explosion.